Years ago, someone told me that life unfolds in two states, the active and the reflective. The active is the day-to-day. It's the rushing to work, watching the ball game, running errands. The reflective, though, that's when things get quiet, right? That's laying in bed at night, staring up at the ceiling. It's kind of when it's just you versus yourself. And that right there, that's the beauty of running for me. It bridges those two halves of life. As physically taxing as it is, it's also very emotionally rewarding. Whenever I'm running, I seem to turn inwards a lot. And, I don't run with headphones, so it's kind of just me and myself out there. And people always, call me crazy for not listening to music when I run, not wearing headphones. And I always just tell them, running's my therapy. Driving isn't therapeutic. The music makes it that. And for me, the running is therapy, so I don't need to do it twice. You don't put a hat on a hat, right? So running kind of covers that for me. My name is Alec Molloy. I'm a 25-year-old kid from Colts Neck, New Jersey. And my running journey actually started a little less than 3 years ago. I actually sent an application into the New York City Marathon through NBTS, the National Brain Tumor Society, on a charity bib, and shout out them. They accepted me to the team and I got in. Even though after I finished, I told myself I'm never doing this shit again. About a week later, I was signed up for a 50K, my first ultramarathon. And since then, in the past 3 years, we started stacking on a bunch of other things. I completed, I think, 8 other marathons. Got into the ultramarathon space, did, some longer efforts, did the speed project LA to Vegas, got into the triathlon space as well, did a sprint tri and also did a half Ironman 70.3 and some other cool stuff along the way.
He was a very athletic kid at a very young age, loved sports, loved being outside. And then in college, he kind of got into this world of running where he would start to run, and I guess kind of like Forrest Gump, he just hasn't stopped running.
Yeah, he was always athletic. He was more athletic than me. A little jealous. But running specifically, no. He was always a team sports guy. No, honestly, nothing really was like, oh yeah, this kid's gonna be an ultra marathon runner at some point. Always an athlete though.
Every time you think that he's done and he's hit his accomplishment, he's reached his goals, he finds another adventure to go on. So it's definitely amazing. At this point, I always tell him, I'm like, you're a machine. You're not even a real person anymore to me.
He's kind of the reason why I got into running myself. We've done a handful of races thus far, and we got a lot more planned in the future. So
back in 2016, when we were on family vacation in Fire Island, like we do every year, I remember we were tubing, and my Uncle Russ was driving the boat, and he got a phone call. And I kind of saw his face drop, and he said something to us like we're going ashore. And Russ looked at me and Jack, and he was like, "Oh, hey, your dad's at the house. You go talk to him," or something along the lines of that. Me and Jack were nervous because we thought maybe we got caught with some beers or whatever it was. And we went back into the room, and our dad was in there, and he told us, Mom was sent off the island because she was acting a little funny, and a lot of the parents, including himself, were concerned about the way she was acting, the way she was slurring her words, things of that nature. And they did an MRI, and it turned out she had a pretty massive brain tumor, and they had to undergo surgery immediately. And just kind of hearing that come out of my dad's mouth, I think it was maybe the first or second time I've seen him cry. Me and my brother broke down. It was kind of like life flipped upside down right then and there. And we found out that the brain tumor was malignant, which means it's cancerous, right? So from that exact moment, we all kind of realized that life was never going to be the same.
And we were basically given a 6-month to 24-month life expectancy for her. And it was devastating for the boys, for me, and for the entire families involved.
So pretty shortly after the surgery, she had to start chemotherapy and radiation, and she was kicking cancer's ass. 3 years had went by. She was super healthy. She was still crushing work as a real estate agent. And then a few years after that, she had sadly developed radiation necrosis from the radiation, which is what happens is radiation, it zaps the cancer cells from your brain, right? Seems pretty simple, but sadly sometimes they get some of your brain cells too. And she lost her short-term memory about 3 years ago. And yeah, that was definitely a tough time. You know, she started not remembering things, and you know, she'd be driving, or I would be driving with her, and she would forget where we were going, and then it kind of, you know, progressively gets worse. And then about 2 years ago, it kind of got to the point where she lost, you know, her physical strength and mobility, if you will.
It's been a long uphill battle for Pam. Unfortunately, 2.5 years ago, we had to put her, excuse me, into a nursing home, which I know was tough on the boys. And I think that the drive and determination was fueled with Alec to do something, not just sit there and watch his mom suffer. And I think that's been a driving factor in his trainings, running, swimming, biking, and all he does to raise money.
That's sort of his why and how he got involved in like the marathoning, and so having that concrete foundation of my mom's sickness and raising money for a cause that's so near and dear to our hearts and his heart is definitely a necessity, I think. I'm sure he'd say the same.
Through all of this, you just kind of realize not everything is given, and you know, that bleeds into why I got into running. You know, it's really the engine of this whole endurance effort for me is just, you know, continuing to push myself and really just, you know, make my mom proud. You know, I'm seeing her as much as I can in her facility, and every time I go see her, I'm always showing her my Strava, or if I run a race, I'll always bring my medal. She likes to wear them, and yeah, you know, that's the whole why. You know, there's a scene in Fight Club where Tyler Durden famously asks, "How much can you know about yourself if you've never been in a fight?" And that's exactly how I see running. You know, for me, it's about self-discovery, understanding my limits, and that's exactly how we got to the next challenge, Last Man Standing. Last Man Standing is an ultramarathon style race. It's a 4.2 mile loop that you have to run on the hour, every hour. So let's say the race starts at 12, you'll have an hour to run that 4.2 mile loop, and the next one starts at 1 p.m.
Every hour, at the top of the hour, you have to be at the starting line or you get eliminated. There's only one winner too, so in a last man standing format, it's there's one winner and everyone else is a DNF.
Which means did not finish, and that means on your chip on the website, it'll just say did not finish, and it'll show that you ran no miles. And some people ran 150 miles.
Putting all that work in just to get a DNF potentially is brutal.
My goal for this race was 100 plus miles. So 100 miles is 24 hours, so that's 24 laps. So from noon on Saturday until noon on Sunday.
Well, I remember Alec telling me probably around this time last year, saying that he signed up for it. I thought he was completely out of his mind.
I thought he was crazy. Then when he said he wanted to do 100 miles, I thought he was even crazier.
It's nuts. I was shocked. And when he asked me to be the crew, I was like, yeah, for sure. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, how, like, staying up for 24 hours, that's gonna be hard for me. And I'm gonna be sitting in a chair all night on my ass.
I knew it was gonna be okay, but I do cherish my sleep, so that was a big sacrifice.
I hadn't done an overnight race by myself in the past, so it was very daunting.
His goal was to get 100 miles, but you know, we didn't quite know how long we'd be there for, because you know, it's not one of those races that's, you know, point to point. What makes this one unique is that there's no finish line. You go until, you know, your mind or body breaks.
This view. So we loaded up the Sprinter van with food, drinks, cots, tents, people. It was a pretty funny scene getting that thing jam-packed with everything we needed. Then we hauled up about 6 to 7 hours up to Maine, and yeah, it was the start of a crazy weekend.
People who know my driving capabilities were probably nervous with me driving a 12-passenger van for 6.5 hours.
My dad drives like he's in a Formula One race at all times, and we're in a massive van, and he's like merging in and out of lanes, cutting people off. So a little high stress environment for the way up.
Got up there, got settled in, really cool spot right on the water.
Obviously we wanted to get Alec and like comfortable the night before the big day. So
I kind of just remember standing on the dock there and just looking out over and kind of just gave myself a little pat on the back, like, you're doing a pretty good job, and you know, whether you run 100 miles or not tomorrow, you're still going to raise a lot of awareness and hopefully a decent amount of money for brain tumor and brain cancer research.
Let's take a quick look at the WCLZ weather forecast. A few early morning clouds to start the day, but they'll clear out by mid-morning. Then it's 70 and sunny straight through the weekend. Couldn't ask for better weather to wrap up August here in Maine. I'm Brian Kelly with your CBS 13 weather update. Get outside and enjoy. Happy Labor Day, folks.
All right, let's go. Fuck.
Your ankle in the door?
It's good for the runner to feel pain. Not bad. I banged my foot up the fucking door. Good way to start the day. We arrived on race day at around 10 a.m. and the race started at 12, so we had about 2 hours to set up our aid station. And I remember thinking when we were pulling up, you know, it kind of hits you like, holy shit, this is happening right now. The next 24 hours, you know, if all goes well, are gonna be probably the craziest 24 hours maybe of my life.
I was definitely a little nervous for him, as you could expect. I mean, there's so many different possible things that, you know, could happen. You know, the terrain, it's hilly, you're in the middle of the woods. You know, I mean, any step you could twist, break, roll your ankle pretty bad. So, I mean, definitely a little nervous, but I knew he was, you know, as prepared as he could be for it.
You kind of feel like a gladiator stepping into the arena. You know, you get those pre-game jitters, everything kind of just sort of feels surreal.
All of the runners, they get up to the starting line. I mean, I was nervous just getting ready to watch everyone start running, and I was just in the crew. So I can imagine, I mean, the pre-race jitters for such a daunting task of 24 hours of straight running, I can't even, it's probably crazy.
I'm essentially staring down the barrel of the next 24 hours. The first lap was just a ball of fun. You know, it just felt unreal to get the nerves off your back, to get out there, get the legs moving, start smiling. You know, it's been months and months and months of prep for most of us. And you also have to make some assessments on that first lap. You know, you got to see how the terrain is, how the hills are, how your legs are reacting to certain things. But yeah, man, that first lap was fun. Everyone was just like, it was a party almost. 170 people just smiling and laughing the whole time.
When he comes back from lap one, I mean, morale's real high. I mean, 4.5 miles to him is like a walk in the park. So I was pretty confident at that point. I don't know how he felt in his mind. I'm sure he felt pretty good.
I feel great. Just got to stay on top of this and this. And yeah, it's fun out there. Everyone's having fun, talking to random people. It's almost 1 o'clock, so lap 2 is going to start in 6 minutes. And feeling good, yeah. Although vibes were very high lap 1, you know, you kind of get those lingering thoughts in the back of your mind of, holy shit, if I accomplish my goal, right? If I set out and do the 100 miles, that'll mean in 24 hours, in a day from right now, I'll be doing the same exact thing and have been doing the same exact thing for this entire time.
One lap at a time. We got everything ready for when he comes here, his food, his hydration. We have some adult beverages for later, so that'll help our morale.
The camaraderie on the trail was pretty unbelievable. Everyone's out there for their own different reasons or their own whys, but at the end of the day, everyone starts at the same start line every hour. So we're not enemies, we're all doing it us versus us. But there was truly no exceptions. Even if you were a fraction of a second late, you weren't starting that next lap with the crew. You were going home.
I was definitely concerned for Alec. I was like, why did you agree to this? Every time that the hours continue and every time he had to go back for another lap, you would always just be a little bit nervous, would he make it back on time?
Go, Alec. Has to starting.
1 minute if you go and line up.
This whole race is just about, strategic pacing. So you have an hour to run, 4.2 miles, which, you don't gotta be, full throttle out there. There's nothing sexy about it. Alec's goal was to finish around 48, 49 minutes, which would give him, 5 minutes, to sit down and rest. Cause I believe our tent was about, a minute, 2-minute walk from the start line. So yeah, there was some people coming in at, 35 minutes. There's some people coming in, with a couple seconds to spare in the hour. But, he kind of found that sweet spot of finishing around, 48, 49 minutes just to give him, the perfect amount of time to fuel and, rest.
As the day went on, you could tell he was getting a little bit more tired, but because the sun was still out and everybody around him was motivated to get back out on the course again over and over, that kept him up and energized as well.
So far, so good. Eating well, staying hydrated, mentally solid, all in all. Very good so far. 118 runners left.
What was the start number?
174. Well, I think
the 50-mile mark is a big goal for people.
I think people who want to just do more than a marathon, now you're at 7, 4:28.
When the sun goes down, obviously it gets a lot more serious. People start dropping off. It seemed like once the sun goes down, it gets cold. It was freezing cold. Honestly, I feel like that's the real race right there, is dealing with that change.
I've run with a headlamp before, but that was in a relay race, so I've never used it continuously throughout the entire night. So this was uncharted waters for me. Between 7 and 8 o'clock, we had hit the early 30s in mileage, which meant the ultramarathon distance. And for a lot of people who had signed up for the race, that was their goal. So they had hit that, and they started packing up, and it seemed pretty evident that the field started to thin.
How's it out there in the dark?
Dude, it's good. It's fun.
More fun?
It was like a whole different freaking race.
Yeah. Yes.
Like the second half of it was dark, so it was fine. But yeah, a lot of people out there, fucking still. Probably a big drop up to 50K, and yeah, we'll see.
Alec, you want any French fries or no?
Yeah, no more.
Chairs in the corner for me. How are you feeling?
Feel great. Knock on wood.
How's the ankle, knee? All good?
Good, yeah. A little discomfort in my one hip, but it comes and goes, so I'm not nervous about it yet.
Yeah, you got two hips. Don't worry about it. You need your socks changed, your sneakers cleaned out?
I'm all good right now. I'm gonna keep them for a bit.
It was great to get back to the tent and not only see the people in front of me, but I had friends and family reaching out on social media, sending text, calling, even a FaceTime with my Uncle Tommy.
I don't know how to turn it. Oh, here we go. How's it going?
Good. Better for me than you, brother.
Yeah, I'm still feeling pretty good. Knock on wood, but yeah.
Good. Like, if you make it to the 100, what time would that be? I'm not doing the math in my head.
That'll be noon tomorrow.
Noon tomorrow? Okay.
Yep. So, we'll see. Hopefully it goes well.
Alrighty. Alright, well, you keep trucking, rest up, eat up. Don't waste your energy talking to me.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye.
Yep.
All right, man.
What do we think? 100. 101. 4. I heard it. I think I heard it twice.
103.
Let's run it again.
103.
People often say in the ultramarathon world that once that first chunk of people drop out, that's really when the race begins. And in this case, that was at 8 p.m. We were in the ultramarathon distance Some people had hit their goals and went home, and some people just no longer could keep up with the hour-long loop. And you might think that might make me happy with people dropping out and getting closer to the end, but it did quite the opposite. The less people there were, the less the camaraderie was high. It started to dim out.
It was amazing between 8 and 9 o'clock how many runners had stopped running and how many spots had opened. And I'll never forget, we were walking back to the tent in between the loop, and I said to him, Alec, we finally got the tent set up perfectly. We got the sides on, we got the wind blocked, we got the lights up. It's perfect. And he looked at me and he said, Dad, I don't mean to be a dick, but get me closer to the start and finish line.
And they did move, so thanks, Dad. Sorry for being a dick.
1 minute, gotta be in line, let's go! 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
That film guy gave me a GoPro. You guys wanna say hi?
Hi! Am I gonna be famous?
I hope so. 36 miles in, I think, and just trying to stay on top of eating and high spirits, having fun. Yeah.
93 still on the course for last 10 for 42 miles.
50 seems like the goal of a lot of people. Yeah, so 100 out so far.
Almost halfway there. Calves are getting a little tight, but it's a lot of up and down there. That's expected.
It just got dark. It's been dark. It's gonna be dark for the next however many hours on hours of just running in pitch black, basically. I mean, it sucked for us, trying to keep ourselves awake, just sitting there in the cold and the dark. And then you gotta imagine, I mean, they're putting their bodies on the line all night, and it's just a miserable, monotonous trek through the woods.
The later it got, the darker it got. The darker it got, the colder it got. The colder it got, the harder it got. So I was floating up Schitt's Creek right about now. But it's in these moments where I remind myself that I'm not here because I need to scratch some competitive itch, right? I'm here because of my mom. I'm here because my life was turned upside down about 10 years ago. And I've spent every moment since then trying to turn that experience into fuel. Fuel to keep going in moments like these.
Debating, like, do I crack a Red Bull or do I try and get some sleep? I think sleep's better.
Try sleep, and if that's not working, Red Bull.
I got an 8 ball as well, so I'll be fine.
Each lap just got harder and harder. It was starting to get really cold out. It hit about low 40s. Naturally, spirits are just gonna dampen. These happy, funny conversations were few and far between. It felt like I was running into this void of darkness.
The longer we get through the night, his energy comes down. I mean, it would be freakish if it didn't. The battle for him, I'm sure, was trying not to get into the cot and lay down for a bit. I know he was trying to hold off for as long as he could. Laying down probably is just the greatest feeling ever after being on your feet for hours and hours and hours. So it becomes a lot easier to quit when you hop into that cot.
I tried to put off laying down in the cot and sleeping for as long as I could. And I did this for multiple reasons. The main one being, you know, once you open that door, it's gonna be hard to close it. I'm starting these laps fucking half asleep, freezing. My legs are stiff as a board.
So as the night dwindled on, the winds picked up, the temperature dropped. One of Alec's college fraternity brothers showed up, this kid Dawson, at like 2 in the morning. He lived up in that neck of the woods.
Wait, John, what's the prize? What does the winner get?
I'll take a PBR and a fucking chair, picture in a chair.
Oh, you get your name engraved. I think you get the chair. Yeah, that chair. Alec said it's not going to fit in his apartment in Hoboken, so he doesn't want to win.
Just a 30-pack of PBR.
Yeah. All worth it.
What the fuck, dude? I mean, I guess.
I wish you guys told me that was the prize. I would have signed up.
I'll just buy him a 30-pack of PBR. Let's go to fucking bed. Freezing cold. What the fuck?
The team, you know, we were trying to catch cat naps, but we couldn't sleep. You're getting everything ready for Alec for when he gets back to the tent. And we just kind of grin and bared it.
We were kind of like starting to drag a little bit. And at this point, Alec would come back and he would do like maybe like 10 minutes of trying to sleep. Watching him sort of struggle between staying awake and trying to energize himself and having a 10-minute break to just sit down and put his legs up that were clearly aching. It was tough to watch because we were starting to get just as exhausted. And I think it went both ways because we weren't really doing anything, so that made us tired, and he was overexerting his body and that made him tired too. So we were trying to just keep our energy up when he would show back up towards the end of the hour, make sure he had everything he needed, and try to give him a few minutes of peace before he had to get back out on the course.
You sign up for these races to get to this point, and just a constant mental battle out there, just to keep moving forward, and just staying mentally aware and not let your mind drift off into thinking that maybe it's time to quit. Just keep on moving forward even when you want to give up.
We were kind of trying to stay motivated to keep him motivated to not give up.
I mean, we were all tired. Like when he was out running, we were all bundled up and laying down. But when he came back, we tried our best to make sure we were up and active, and iron sharpens iron.
Think about how tired you are when you wake up in the middle of the night. But instead of going to take a piss, you got to run 4.2 miles in the cold.
Obviously, he only got maybe 4 to 5 minutes of actual sleep in between each lap. And every time he would lay down to sleep and get up again, he was so stiff, and you could tell he was in so much pain, and he was basically limping, walking over to the start line. You could definitely tell that he was starting to, he started to wilt a little bit. 5 minutes and then getting up, I think it was a shock to his whole system. And I think that kind of, made him a little less resilient.
Walking from my cot to the starting line was hell, and then starting every lap was also hell. It took me, I'd say, about a mile and a half to get the excruciating pain away, so I was loosened up. And then the next mile to 2, I just felt super out of breath and super all like winded. Those last few laps in the darkness, there was really no external motivation. Everyone was thinking the same thing. When is the sun gonna come up? I had come as close to surrender as I had during the race. But then I saw it. A soft light shining through the trees. A light that pushed me further. A light that woke up the campsite. A light that brought warmth. And a light that freed me from the tyranny of the headlamp.
I have to say one of the best moments of the race is that morning when the sun finally came up and broke through. The runners were able to take their headlamps off, which makes it easier for them running, with just natural light. And I think it invigorated the crew because we knew we had gotten through the tough portion of the night. And I think everybody was rejuvenated.
Hello.
You want something sweet?
Of course.
You want to change shirts or? No more headlamp.
He's already ran like 85 miles. What's 15 more, right? Which is crazy. I've never ran 15 miles in my life. Just to say, what's 15 more miles after running 80 for almost a full day?
I think he really pushed through that last lap with the headlamp just because he knew and everybody knew that the sun was rising, and I think it was metaphorically that light at the end of the tunnel that he was getting there and he was inching his way towards his goal and the finish line.
I know the night probably took its toll, but it was amazing what a little bit of sunlight and warmth can do to a heart and to a runner.
I think at this point it was maybe 18 or 19 hours, so a long time. And I think that just kept him going, that the sun was back up. It was a new day. He's been going for as long as he has, so he might as well continue.
There are certain things in a race like this that are an absolute boost to performance and vibes and morale, and surviving the night and the sun coming up is number one on that list. It was infectious with the crew, everybody there, all of the runners. Everyone started smiling again, joking around, laps were more fun. You just had this sense of, holy shit, we could do this. In my case, I could hit 100 miles. But that boost only gets you so far.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
At around 10 a.m., it had dawned on me that I hadn't eaten solid food in a few hours, which meant that a timer had started in the background, which means that I need to either start eating solid fuel or I'm not going to be able to keep going much further. For whatever reason, I was getting a little nauseous, super tired, just a mix of just about everything you could imagine, and I just couldn't get any solid food down. The only thing that was keeping me going was liquid carbs.
When things started to warm up in the morning, everybody was happy, but you could tell that Alec was, starting to hit a bit of a wall. It was, he was limping to and from the tent after the runs. But I have to say it was very emotional when he was going out, because now you saw it started with 171 runners. Now there's 11, and he kept getting up to the start line. And every time he finished, it was very emotional for me, because each lap got closer to his goal. And did I think it was a reasonable goal? At first I thought he was crazy, like I said, but at that point it got to the point where he was determined, we were determined, and I just wanted to be there after he finished every lap, give him a hug, and get him ready for the next lap.
The last couple laps, I mean, you can see he's coming back and there's just a grimace on his face. Obviously, he's mentally, physically exhausted. His legs are probably killing him.
How you holding up?
My right knee is like
cold, right? You want me to put ice on it?
No, it's not injured. It's just like it hurts like a bitch, but it's just the front of it. I think from all the downhills or something, like it was just like.
Physically, I was probably in the worst shape I'd ever been in my life. I was pretty much running on my reserve tank.
All right, let's roll, boys, girls, team.
Boys and girl.
Dad, toss me the blue stick.
It's going for 100.
Deodorant.
Who's got his handheld?
I got it.
Let's go, baby. Come on.
Do it.
A victory lap. There you go.
I was pulling at every internal resource that I could find, every inspiration. I was willing to throw the kitchen sink to get this thing done.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
nervously waiting because it was 50 minutes, 53 minutes, and he wasn't back yet.
I've spent the last 24 hours of my life running, and trust me, I was feeling it. But this is when you have to make a decision. A decision as to whether I was going to give into or fight through the pain. But I wasn't just feeling the pain of 24 hours and 99 miles. I was feeling the drive of nearly a decade behind me. A decade spent in hospitals and in uncertainty. A decade of watching the most important person in my life fight in a battle in which she was outgunned. So I figured I better take a page out of her book.
A lot of these runners have a reason. I know Alec keeps going for our mom. And like when he's physically drained, mentally drained, literally like fully depleted, probably tank on E, that's what really pushes you forward.
I think his why really started to weigh on his brain when he was really feeling like mentally and physically he was reaching his limits and exhausting himself. I think that just really stayed top of mind to him and just drove him to that finish line.
All of a sudden, you just saw his smiling face.
I was trying not to get emotional, but I mean, you have that knot in your throat watching him come through the finish line.
And that was one of the more special feelings for me, because when he came back, the ovation that they gave. Alec, when he came back, was a very good feeling for me.
In July of 2016, my family and I received some of the worst news you could hear. My mom was diagnosed with glioblastoma. She was given a maximum life expectancy of 2 years. But if you would have told me then that 10 years down the road, and she'd be holding one of my medals that I ran a race for her, and she'd be smiling and proud of me, I would have thought you were absolutely crazy.
I mean, it doesn't seem like there's anything that this kid can't do.
That mental strength comes from kind of the example we have set for us by our mom. So, I mean, when you have an example like that, how could you fail?
But they have a saying in the running world, you don't die in the chair. So he got up to run another lap.
I didn't choose this, nor would I have. But the beauty is that I get to choose what to do with it, and I'm proud of what I've chosen. And I think my mom is too.